We just got massive news on our top three role players down in Miami. We'll break down who they are and how it's going to affect this Miami Heat team, not only in the offseason, but as well as going into next season. We'll do it all on this episode of Heat Digest, and we'll do it right now. So let's get to it and break down the offseason updates for Miami, at least up to this point, I should say, because it is June 30th. Obviously, the Miami Heat have not been very active this offseason up to this point, but again, things could definitely change. But now we have massive updates on Kevin Love, Josh Richardson, and Caleb Martin. Now, those three names, again, they are not going to fill the box score night in and night out. They're not going to give you 25 to 30 points a game or 15 rebounds or whatever it may be, the key stats that you're looking for. But what they do is play their role extremely, extremely well. And because of that, they're extremely valuable. And we'll start with Kevin Love, as again, he's had the longest career and he has the most experience. And I know he may not play the best and he might not give you the most crazy stat line night in and night out, but the leadership he brings you on and off the floor is really irreplaceable due to the fact that, again, he has played for so long up to this point. He played in Minnesota, where he's an MVP and Defensive Player of the Year candidate year after year, and then he went to Cleveland. He won championships. Now he's in Miami. Again, a long playoff run after long playoff run. And again, he's more of in a teaching stage of his career as he's much older than the majority of players that he's playing with. But again, Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted this this morning, saying ESPN sources Miami Heat /center Kevin Love is declining his $4 million player option, but both sides are enthusiastic about negotiating a new deal in the opening days of free agency. The five-time All-Star has played the past 2 seasons with the Heat. Now, again, Kevin Love, if he's able to sign a new deal with the Miami Heat, not an extension, and again, it works for him as well as with the Miami Heat financially, I would love to see him return. I know, he's not going to be the guy that pushes the needle for us and gets us over the hump, like with the actual stats and the actual production. But again, when he comes on the floor, he is not only a great leader on and off the floor, but when he's on the floor, he has the capabilities to really fill it up. We saw it especially at the end of last season when the Miami Heat's offense was horrible, to be blunt. It was very stagnant. It didn't really work. When we go flat, we were not just flat for 3 possessions. We were flat for 3 quarters at a time. And because of that, anything really helped. Anything seemed like a shining light. And Kevin Love was a prime example of that multiple times during the end of last season, whether he was pick and popping off of setting a screen and popping out to the 3-point line, catching and shooting a high clip from the 3-point line and being that spark off the bench, or whether it be just rebounding the ball effectively and outletting the ball down the court to open teammates, allowing the offense to then be pushed down the floor and not having to set up in offensive sets in the half court. Again, he plays a great brand of basketball, not only off the floor, but the leadership he brings is almost irreplaceable. So again, just under 9 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.8 fouls, which is good because he's a big man. If you can keep him out of foul trouble, that's always good. He shoots 44% from the field overall and 34.4% from behind the 3-point line. He's 35 going on 36, and again, he's not an isolation type of basketball player. He's not that type of guy. He really never has been, even back in Minnesota. 98.8% of his threes are assisted, a beautiful statistic there. And then, again, 68% of all his shots are threes. A big man living and dying by the 3-point shot, and honestly, is not even the worst thing due to the fact that he shoots a high percentage. And again, if you get him to the free throw line, he can still knock down free throws at a high clip. I would love to see Kevin Love return to the Miami Heat. Let me know what you guys think about Kevin Love, and if you guys would like, again, he's not going to get $8 to $10 million. That's not what he's going to get. I would be surprised if he got 5 or more. Seriously, he's going to get a minimum. He's going to come back for 2 years, play with the Miami Heat, be a leader, come in, fill some minutes when he can. Closer to that Udonis Haslem role at the end of his career. But again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Kevin Love returning to the Miami Heat. So next moving piece will be Josh Richardson. Now, this is from Shams Sharami. Again, just like Adrian Wojnarowski, one of the biggest insiders in the game of NBA basketball. And he goes on to tweet this, saying, Heat guard Josh Richardson is picking up his $3 million player option to return for the 2024-2025 NBA season. Sources tell The Athletic at Stadium. Richardson was a key part of Miami's rotation before the shoulder injury in February. He is expected to make a full recovery for next season. Now, this is wonderful news. Josh Richardson obviously went down in February with a right shoulder dislocation when playing against the Boston Celtics. That was a hell of a game for the Miami Heat, probably one of our better regular season games out of all 82. And again, it was against the soon-to-be NBA champions in the Boston Celtics. But again, we did play them very hard, and again, that was the game when Jimmy Butler had a death in the family just a day or a few hours before that game, so he was absent. Josh Richardson, we lost, I believe, in the second or the third quarter, again, with that shoulder dislocation. That's the same game that Duncan Robinson and Jaylen Brown got into a scuffle and on a three-point shot, and apparently Duncan Robinson tweaked his elbow/shoulder. Again, it wasn't a major injury, but again, was grimacing at it. He did come out for a bit of time when it did happen, and I believe we had one more player absent for that game, and it's running away from me right now. So again, I'm not sure, but we were extremely shorthanded just off the three players I know for an absolute fact were not there or left early due to injury or whatever may happen. We did lose that game to Boston. It was a close game, but again, to focus on Josh Richardson here. He is really a great player for this Miami Heat team. And again, the stats aren't going to jump out at you. All three of these players that we're going to highlight in this video are not going to be stat sheet stuffers. They're not going to be the guys scoring 20 to 30 points a game or really running the starting point guard or starting power forward role and dominating the floor at night in and night out. That's not what they are anymore in their career. Again, Josh Richardson, 10 points. Let's call it 3 rebounds and 2.5 assists per game. The steals at 0.6. He's a great defender. Again, he just didn't get a lot of playing time because he was absent for 4.5 months of the season. And again, he wasn't a definitive starter when he was active before he got injured. For his field goal percentage, he was shooting a decent clip. Again, for someone who doesn't score the ball prolifically, 44.4% from the field is not too shabby. And then a decent three-point shooter at 34.7% from behind the three-point line. Overall, good numbers for a good role player who is more of a defensive threat than an offensive threat. And again, 6'5", 30 years old. He has great height and great length for that three position that he does play. 39.5% on corner threes is a great number as a spot-up shooter. 97% of his threes are assisted. Again, that will work with any player on any team. And then 54.8% all shots are threes. So again, he does shoot more threes than really anything else. But again, he is really athletic. He has the ability to really jump with anybody. Again, it's just not his really brand of his game. He does rely on the three-point shot more than anything else. And again, he does knock it down at a pretty good clip. So he fits in with Miami pretty well. Great defender, scrappy defender with good length, and he has an ability to shoot the spot up three. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands every time down the offensive side. He's overall a great player for the Miami Heat, and I'm glad he has accepted his player option as returned to the Miami Heat. And again, the Miami Heat aren't taking a big fall on this because it's only $3 million. I know $3 million to anyone is a lot of money, but to a basketball player, to an NBA organization, that is just a small paperclip and a big pile. So we'll take it, and again, it's another win. So it seems like we're going to have Josh Richardson obviously back on the team next season, but Kevin Love as well, like we said earlier, is hoping to negotiate with the Miami Heat, who seems open to it as well, to negotiating in the opening days of free agency. So again, it seems like we have two of these key role players returning to Miami, which is a massive win in my opinion. Again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think as we get through this video about these players. And the third and final player we're going to highlight from NBA Central yesterday, saying Caleb Martin is expected to leave the Heat in free agency per Ira Heat Beat. Again, Ira Winderman, who we all know and love because he's on this channel all the time because he's one of the best beat writers for the Miami Heat around, and there's no conversation to be had about it. He's very good at what he does. He's very accurate in what he says, and he posted this tweet of I believe yesterday night, saying Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, Thomas Bryant opt out of Heat contracts, all three to enter free agency Sunday at 6 p.m. And then in the article, we have a few excerpts that I will quickly quote. With each player with a 5 p.m. Saturday deadline to opt into the final season of their Heat contracts, Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, and Thomas Bryant all opted out of their deals a day after Josh Richardson opted into the final season of his 2-year contract. So again, things we've already broken down. Just the outlier here is Thomas Bryant. Again, not the biggest name, and he is walking out to free agency to see what he can get in that free agency market. Again, thanks for the years that you gave us, Thomas Bryant. But again, I don't believe he will be returning. I don't think he's going to be a player that Miami Heat are going to go out and give money to in free agency, especially with the pool of players that seems to be available this offseason. But again, thanks for the time that you gave us. You showed us a lot of effort. You just didn't get a lot of playing time in general. And then the last thing from Ira was this. For now, that means the players for the Heat's season-ending roster available in free agency will be Martin, Bryant, Love, Hayward Highsmith, DeLon Wright, Patty Mills, Jamal Cain, Alondas Williams, and Cole Swider. Then he goes on to say, locked into contracts for the Heat next season are Richardson, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, Orlando Robinson, and draft picks Kel'el Ware, Peliel Larson, who are subject to the NBA's defined rookie scale. Or, excuse me, Pella Larson. It's Pella Larson. I've read all your comments. It is Pella. If you don't believe me, I did my research. Go on Google, go on YouTube, type in his name, and you watch clips until you hear his name announced, whether it's on the color commentator or just the broadcaster. I promise you it is pronounced Pella Larson. And again, Pella Larson, who are subject to the NBA's defined rookie scale. But again, that is from Ira. Again, we were quoting him earlier. And then his initial thoughts before he even put out that article: Caleb Martin gone, Hayward Highsmith, they will try. Kevin Love back. Thomas Bryant gone, DeLon Wright maybe, Patty Mills unlikely, Jamal Cain unlikely, Alondas Williams two-way, Cole Swider two-way. So these are Ira's educated guesses on what's going to happen for the players listed. So it seems like Caleb Martin is going to be gone next season. Hayward Highsmith could also be gone. Again, we don't have any updated reports on him, but again, they will try. It seems like the Miami are at least going to reach out and give Hayward Highsmith something, try to bring him back. And again, Kevin Love, we just talked about, is coming back, hopefully, if they can agree on a number, which again is just a matter of time until they put pen to paper and actually agree on something. But again, massive news, as Caleb Martin is probably going to leave in free agency. Now, Caleb Martin has been pretty good for this Miami Heat team, no arguing that. 10 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 43% from the field, 34.9% from behind the three-point line. He's only 28 with good size at 6'5". He can really get the job done. He's really like an energy, like a spark plug for a lot of teams, especially this Miami Heat team. This past season, you've heard me mention it in previous in Heat Digest videos, where we would be flat, stagnant, couldn't score. Didn't matter what we did. Didn't matter if we had an open look or we were just smothered on defense. If we were shooting free throws, it felt like nothing was going to work for the Miami Heat. And then these role players, Caleb Martin is again a perfect example of it. Would catch the ball on the wing, give a good head fake, ball fake, put his foot in the ground, and go right at the basket and do some acrobatic, freakish layup where somehow, some way, we'd hit the glass softly and put it in off the rim, and it would just be a massive energy boost, as it seemed like he was just giving the Miami Heat more life. Now, this may just be the Caleb Martin testing the free agency waters, looking to get paid. He wants more than, it seems like, that $7 million option that the Miami Heat were going to offer him going into next season. So maybe he's looking for 10 plus million going into next season. And again, if you can get it, Caleb Martin, I tip my cap. Cheers to you. You deserve it. You're a hell of a ball player. But again, we've talked about this before. Role players from Miami going elsewhere seem to diminish the second they sign that dotted line going elsewhere. And again, they just don't get the same out of them that the Miami Heat do. As well as, is he going to fit in the same? Is it going to be the same role? Is he going to be asked to do more? Is he going to ask to do less? It's going to be very confusing. It's not going to be the same scenario as Miami. So it may just change up how Caleb Martin actually plays the game of basketball. But again, we are going to wait and find out. And if Caleb Martin, this is it for you in Miami, thank you for the time you gave us. You're a hell of a player. And again, I would love to see you back in a Miami Heat jersey. Again, you don't have to have as big as a role that you had last season, especially with the injuries we dealt with. But you have great energy, you have great abilities. And again, you're a key role player for this Miami Heat team. So if that was it for you, thank you. But again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Kevin Love possibly coming back on a very small deal, as reported earlier. Josh Richardson returning as he opted into his contract, and then the departure of Caleb Martin. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.